We are now talking to former Jets running back Bilal Powell. Bilal, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, man?
I'm good, man. And when Speedy told me that we were going to get you on, I was very excited. Speedy will tell you that when you were playing for the Jets, you were a guy that I stuck up for. Every time the Jet fans were attacking, why is Bilal playing? Why isn't he? Why aren't they starting this guy? Why is he? He's not 100%. He shouldn't be playing. I said that this guy he's a warrior. This guy goes out there and he gives 110%. Rex Ryan spoke nothing but highly of you. Before we get into this interview, how are you and your family doing from the whole COVID situation?
We're good, man. We moved back to Kentucky. We were trying to stay up there in that New York, New Jersey area, but it hit hard up there, man. So we decided to come back to Kentucky. But everyone's healthy, doing well, ready for the holiday season.
No, I can't wait for the holiday season. I can't wait until it's over and we get into the January, where there's the Super Bowl, there's the playoffs, and I know you're excited about that. So why don't we get into your career first before we ask you some questions about the Jets and your thoughts to the New York Jets this year with their running game, with Breece Hall and Bam Knight. You know a lot about running backs, and I'm sure you have your own thoughts to the Jets and how they're running the ball. Tell us a little bit about when you were drafted by the Jets, getting drafted to a New York team, a big city, a place that a lot of people – some people say don't want to play because there's too much pressure. There's too much press. What was it like being drafted by the Jets?
Oh, man, it was amazing. I mean, you had Rex Ryan over there, who I think any player would love to play for. Rex Ryan. What you see is what you get with Rex. I was drafted, obviously, by Michael Tannenbaum was over there, Anthony Lynn. Those guys just knew football. Anthony Lynn did a great job of developing me in my early years and teaching me the game, allowing me to be a student of the game that took my game to the next level. But like everybody get excited here in New York, man. But we're actually in New Jersey. It shocks people when they come up to visit. They think it's just like a hot skipping away from New York. But man, that's a long commute. But man, it's one of the biggest cities in the world, media cities in the world. And it's probably one of the most exciting sports cities in the world. If you want to be, honest with yourself, I think it's one of the best cities to play. A lot of guys did turn down the opportunity to come here, but like I said, man, it was probably one of the best experiences of my life.
So Rex Ryan was your coach for the first 4 years of your career, and he's been quite a character even since he's retired from coaching as well. So what was he like on and off the field?
Man, Rex was a player's coach. When it was time to joke, we joked, we had fun. But man, when it was time to play, when it was time to lock in, you locked in, especially for a guy like that, because you knew Rex Ryan was going the whole nine for you. He was going to bat for you regardless of what the media or fans were saying. He never threw his players under the bus. He always took blame for some of the things that I felt like it was players' fault. He was a great coach. He had a great scheme on the defensive side. But man, he was a guy that you would definitely run through a wall for because what he said, he was a guy that is man's own words. You know what I mean? And for me, I think all you have is your name and your word. And he was one of those guys that what he said, he meant. And, for us as players, that's all you expect, especially in the cutthroat business like the NFL, man. You don't run around. You don't come across, too many times you play for a coach like Rex Ryan.
Bilal, you played for the Jets, and the Jets have always been known for good running teams. They've always had good running backs, Curtis Martin, Jones, and even when you came into the league, a lot of people were comparing you to different running backs that played for the New York Jets. When you started playing in the NFL, what was the player that really stood out to you that you wanted to replicate your game after?
I mean, I had the guy right in my room, LaDainian Tomlinson. You talk about a guy that, I think he's not talked about enough for some of the things that he's done in this game and for this game. A guy that, I had the opportunity to play with during his 10th year that looked like he was in year 5. The way he finished runs at practice, the way he prepared. You would think that guy would play, for another 5 years. And I thought he could. I mean, he still was in shape, still had his good physique at that time. And he talking about a guy that was just smart and understood football. And a guy that went out, at the end of the day, you don't get faster as you get older. You get smarter. And you can just tell the game was just so slow for that guy. And to be able to be drafted as a rookie and have that guy of that stature in your room to learn from was just something that a lot of guys don't get that throughout their career.
So you actually, after LaDainian Tomlinson, too, played with a lot of other big name running backs too. Matt Forte came over to the Jets. Chris Johnson, we saw with the Jets. Isaiah Crowell was pretty good for a couple of years with the Jets. Any of them really stand out on and off the field? And you have a good story of any of them as your teammates?
Man, I tell you, one of my favorites in the room, and we still talk to this day, Chris Ivory. Chris Ivory was a guy that I thought, just being two complete backs that we were, our style, I think was probably the best, compliment to each other. And I think that was the most fun that I've had when I played with that guy, Chris Ivory. Obviously, you have to respect Matt Forte doing what he did in Chicago for a number of years. And then obviously CJ 2K doing what he did, going for 2,000 yards in one season. It's super hard to do. I mean, even to run for 1,000, and to go get 2,000 to be in that club, man, it's pretty much an honor to be around those type of guys, mentioning, being in the room.
Well, Bilal, I actually did a radio show for almost a year and a half for with an ex-Jet, Eric Coleman, and he speaks so highly of you. He has spoken to you quite a few times, and he really believed that you never got the respect that you deserved in the NFL, the talent that you were, what you did. You played hurt. You had that spine injury. You still played with that injury, and you kept ticking, and obviously that eventually took your career. But, playing almost 9 years in the NFL. I'm looking at your almost 9 years in the NFL. That's a long career. And 2017 was your best year. I mean, at the age of 28, you had 772 yards, 5 touchdowns. You were in some aspects one of the better backs in the league. That type of back, that second back that can do a lot of different things. What was it like playing in 2017 and the way you played?
I just had fun, and that was probably the season where I had the most opportunities, and I just took advantage of those opportunities. I was always a guy that I just made sure that when opportunity came, I was prepared to take on that role. Obviously they had brought in Matt Forte that year. Matt was battling injuries, the second half of the season. And it gave me more opportunities. And, I felt like if I was a guy that had the opportunities, like the other running backs around the league, that I would have been in that category. Obviously the numbers don't lie. You're talking about 175 carries. I'm almost going for 1,000, including receiving out of the backfield. Talking about 1,000 all-purpose yards in the season with not as many opportunities as other guys are in the league that you consider top tier guys. If I had those opportunities, I think I would be able to put up the same numbers. So, for me, it was just always being prepared, being ready when my number was called and going out and just performing, man. Just playing the game that I love to play. At the end of the day, it was a game, still a game. Even though there's business behind it, it was still a game of football. And like I said, man, when the opportunity came, I took advantage.
So you, at the time, were one of the best pass-catching running backs in the league as well, always one of the tops with receptions and yards. And now you're kind of seeing in a passing league kind of that be a necessity for a lot of running backs. Do you see that kind of thing where a running back has to be a good pass-catching back now to be a really good running back? There are exceptions, obviously, Derrick Henry, guys like that. But you think that's a new norm now?
I think it is. I think the game has definitely evolved to that. When I first came in the league, it was all about power football, power. And slowly as my career went on, you're starting to see these backs who now backs are coming in even smaller. When I was coming in, you was talking about big bruisers because you was downhill. Now you're talking about backs at 200 pounds, 205, 210, being able to catch out the backfield. I think that's an advantage for a running back. I think if you want to have a career in this league for a long time, then you would need to be able to catch the ball out of the backfield. And obviously, you have a few guys that you can just hand it to, like Derrick Henry. But I think the game has evolved to that. And I think that's why a lot of teams are going to the committee backfield. The crowded backfields where you can just get a change of pace. You got a third down, your receiving back, your big bruiser back. But if you do want to play in this league, you better be able to catch and pass pro. That's the number one thing that I talk to young running backs when I always talk to them. Be able to pass pro, because if you can't pass pro, you won't be in the game. Trust me.